Hello students, welcome to the social science class. Hope you all are good and safe in the home. So for today's class, I'm going to teach you a very interesting lesson from history, unit 2. The topic is from trade to territory. I repeat, the topic is from trade to territory. Now let's see the main topics. First one, the events and impact of Battle of Plassey and Buxar. Second, the three Carnatic Wars and First Mysore War. Third, Anglo-Maratha War. And fourth one is Subsidiary Alliance and Doctrine of Lapse. And this is all about the main topic which is given in this lesson. Now, let's see the introduction. In the year of 1498, Vasco da Gama, a man from Portugal, discovered a new sea route from Europe to India. And this discovery was made to maximize profit through trade and to establish political supremacy. Here, trade means buying or selling of goods or services between people or countries. And after many years, in the year of 1600, the East India Company came into India. They make use of the sea route and they get benefited by doing trading. The main interest of East India Company in India was territorial and commercial expansion. And now let's see the first topic, Battle of Plassey in 1757. In the year of 1756, after the death of Alivardi Khan, the Nawab of Bengal, his grandson Sirajudullah became the new Nawab of Bengal. The British, in order to take advantage of the new Nawab's weakness, they just tried to seize his power. So Sirajudullah decided to teach them a lesson by attacking over their political settlement of Calcutta. And so what he did, he just captured the 146 British soldiers and put them in a very small dungeon room in the Fort William, which is in Calcutta. And by this action, most of the soldiers, nearly 123 soldiers were died due to suffocation. And this incident is popularly called as Black Hole Tragedy in 1756. And after a year, on 9th February 1757, the Sirajudullah signed a treaty called Treaty of Alingnar. As a result of denial of trading rights by Nawab of Bengal in 1757, Robert Clive led the company army against Sirajudullah at Plassey. The Battle of Plassey took place between the British East India Company and the Nawab of Bengal on 23rd June 1757. And it was considered as the first major victory of English in India, mean British in India. The main reason for defeat at the Nawab was just the force led by Mir Jafar. Mir Jafar was one of the Sirajuddaullah's commanders who betrayed Sirajudullah and never fought the battle. Mir Jafar was promised by Clive to be made Nawab after crushing Sirajudullah. As per the deal, Mir Jafar became the Nawab of Bengal after the defeat and the death of Sirajudullah. But he was the nominal head of Bengal and actual power remains in the hands of British. And after defeating the Bengal, the company gained a huge amount of wealth and used to strengthen the military forces. And yes, this is all about the Battle of Plassey in 1757. And now let's see the second topic, Battle of Buxar in 1764. After the death of Sirajudullah, Mir Jafar was made to be the new Nawab. Mir Jafar was just a puppet in the hands of Britishers. And after a year, his son-in-law Mir Qasim was become opposite to the British, and so he formed confidency with Shah Alam and some Mughal emperor. And that's why the battle was fought on October 22, 1764 at Buxar, a small fortified town. It was located on the bank of Ganges River, which is on about 130 km in the west of Patna. The British army was led by Hector Munro. The battle was between the British East India Company and various Mughal emperors. But unfortunately, the Mughal emperors they lost the battle severely even after having such a huge army. And again, Jafar was placed in the new Nawab, and after his death, his son Nizam Abdullah was placed on the throne and signed Allahabad Treaty on 20th February 1765. And yes, this is all about the Battle of Buxar. Now let's see the second topic, that is Carnatic War. The Carnatic Wars were a series of military conflicts in the south known as Carnatic Wars. It was started from the year 1746 and ends up in the year 1763. The three Carnatic Wars were fought between various Indian rulers, British and French East India Company on either side. And this is the Carnatic War chart. The first Carnatic War was started from the year 1746 and ends up in the year 1748. And next, the second Carnatic War was started from the year 1749 and ends up in the year 1754. And the third started from the year 1756 and ends up in the year 1763. And now let's see the first Carnatic War in detail. The first Carnatic War was the outbreak of the Austrian War in Europe, and this was an echo of the war that felt in India. During the year of 1746, in the southern part of India, the Battle of Adayar, that is the first Carnatic War, was started for the Battle of Santum, that is Madras, fought between the French force and the force of Anwar-Din and the Nawab of Carnatic. And the French army led by the Captain Paradise, who defeated the strong Indian army. And after the 2 years, the war was ended by the Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle, which brought the Assyrian War to an end. Under the terms of this treaty, Madras was returned back to the English, and the French in turn got their territories in North America. And this is all about the first Carnatic War. And now let's start the second Carnatic War. The main reason for this war was the issue of secession in Carnatic and Hyderabad. During the year of 1749, on August 3rd, the French General Governor Dupleix, Chanda Sahib and Muzaffar Jung formed a grand alliance and defeated and killed Anwar-Din Khan, who was the Nawab of Carnatic, and made Chanda Sahib as the new Nawab of Carnatic. Likewise, in the Deccan region, the French defeated and killed Nasir Jung and made Muzaffar Jung as the Nizam. The new Nawab of Carnatic, that is the Chanda Sahib, in order to reward the French, he just gave the 80 villages around the Pondicherry. And likewise, the Muzaffar Jung, the new Nizam, gave ample reward to the French and made Dupleix to appointed as the governor to all the territories in such as River Krishna. And in 1751, Robert Clive captured the Arcot by defeating the French at Arni and Kaveri Pug. And after the 7 years, the second Carnatic War came to an end by signing the Treaty of Pondicherry in 1755. And that's all about the second Carnatic War. And now let's see the third Carnatic War. The reason for the third Carnatic War was the outbreak of the 7 Years' War in Europe, and that leads to the third Carnatic War in India to begin. And by this time, the British made substantial gain in Bengal and Hyderabad, and these gains helped them to defeat the French at Bandiwash on January 22, 1760. The French lost their position in India. After a few years, the Third Carnatic War was concluded by the Treaty of Paris on 1763. And this is all about Third Carnatic War. The next topic is Mysore Wars. During the period of Hyder Ali and his son Tipu Sultan, they ruled the South India under their leadership, and they played a prominent role against the expansion of British Empire in India. And that's why the Four Anglo-Mysore War was fought between the year 1767 to 1799. And now let's see the causes of First Anglo-Mysore War. The first causes is that the Hyder Ali's growing power and his friendly relation with the French become a matter for the British. And the second causes is that the Marathas, the Nizam, and the English entered into a triple alliance against Hyder Ali. And these two causes were the main reason for the First Anglo-Mysore War. And now let's see the course and Treaty of Madras. The Nizam, with the help of British troops under the General Joseph Smith, came to battle with Hyder Ali in 1767. But Hyder Ali defeated British and captured Mangalore. In March 1769, Hyder Ali attacked Madras and forced the English to sign a treaty on 4th April 1769, and that was called as a Treaty of Madras. The next topic is Anglo-Maratha Wars. The war that between the Marathas and the British East India Company is known as Anglo-Maratha Wars. There were three Anglo-Maratha Wars. The first Anglo-Maratha War was started in the year 1775 and ends up in the year 1782. And the second Anglo-Maratha War was started in the year 1803 and ends up in the year 1805. And the third Anglo-Maratha War was started in the year 1817 and ends up in the year 1818. The first Anglo-Maratha War was started on the year 1775 and ends on 17th May 1789 by the Treaty of Salbai was signed between the Warren Hastings and Mahadaji Scindia. And now let's see the important topic, that is the third Anglo-Maratha War. The third Anglo-Maratha War was the final war between the British East India Company and Maratha Empire. It begins from the year 1817 and ends up in the year 1818 by British East India Company's troops. The troops were led by the Governor General Hastings, who was under the General Thomas Islop, and in Maratha, the Peshwa Bajirao II, Bouncil of Nagpur, and other Maratha ruler were against the British. And at the end of the war, the British defeated the Marathas Empire. This was one of the last major war fought and won by the British. With this, the British started to control most parts of India. The next topic is the subsidiary alliance. Subsidiary alliance is a system and that was introduced by the Lord Wellesley. And the system of subsidiary alliance was to bring the all state under the control of British. And that princely state was called the protected state. And the British were referred as the paramount power. And it was the duty of every Britisher to safeguard the state from external aggression and rule the states with peace. And next, the main features of subsidiary alliance. First point, all the non-English European officials should be turned out of a state. Second point, an Indian ruler entering into subsidiary alliance with the British had to dissolve his own armed force and accept British forces as their own territory. Third point, the Indian ruler should deal with the foreign states only through the British Company. Fourth point, the British should undertake the state from internal trouble as well as external attack. Fifth point, the Indian ruler had to pay for the British Army's maintenance, and if he failed to make the payment, a portion of his territory would be seized to the British. Last point, the British resident should be in the capital. And that's all about the main features of subsidiary alliance. And next, merits for the British. First point, all Frenchmen in the service of native ruler were dismissed and completely eliminated. Second point, the British Company began to control the foreign policy of the princely states. Third point, the British Company maintained a large army at the expense of the Indian ruler. Fourth point, the diplomacy made to transform the British Empire in India into the British Empire of India. And next, the effects of the princely states. The system of subsidiary alliance made the Indian ruler to become weak, oppressive, and irresponsible. And they also neglected their duty towards a subject and even exploited them. And that's all about the defects of the princely states and subsidiary alliance. And the next topic is doctrine of lapse. The doctrine of lapse is a new policy introduced by the Lord Dalhousie in 1848. According to this policy, if the king did not have any natural born heir, then the kingdom would lapse to the British or would be administered and occupied by the British. And that's all about the doctrine of lapse. Finally, we came to the conclusion. The Battle of Plassey was the foundation of British domain in India. The subsidiary alliance and doctrine of lapse were the two policy developed by British East India Company and that were brought more Indian territories under British domain. Okay, children, I hope that you all understand the lesson. Please go through the lesson. Don't waste your time. Thank you.